Welcome, 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 everyone. Hello, and welcome to Strategies for Black Women to Successfully Exit Toxic Jobs. I am happy to be back. I've been out of the country for 3 weeks in Korea, in Japan, and in Thailand, and Doha, but it's great to be back live. I've actually missed this. I know I was gone for a little bit, but I'm back and I'm ready, right? So I am Twanna Carter, Dr. Twanna Carter of TwannaCarter.com, and I am your guide to navigating the complexities of the professional world as a Black woman. So please welcome again. Feel free to drop your comments and questions, and I'll be monitoring to those as I go through the live. And today we're diving deep into a critical topic, right? And I love saying right. So yeah, look for that about, 30, 40 times maybe. It is what it is. And this topic is how to successfully exit a toxic job and move forward with strength and confidence. So whether you're feeling undervalued or maybe disrespected or just plain stressed out, this session is definitely for you. So without further ado, let's get started. And I want to check in for a minute. Let me check the comments over here. Let me know that you can hear me because, again, it's been about a month since I've actually been live, doing a live across. And I want to say welcome to LinkedIn and welcome to YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. And so I might be a little rusty, so help me out. Make sure just drop a 1 in the comments if you can hear me. I would definitely appreciate that. So without further ado, let's start with recognizing the signs of a toxic job. So it is actually the first step to empowering yourself to make a change, right? So if you are being talked down to, if you find out or you've known for a minute that you're paid less than your peers for the same work and you actually are doing more work, I've actually seen it, right? So let me check my comments over here. So the Facebook user says, yes, I can hear you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm a little bit rusty, but at least I got that right. Right. And some of you just may feel excluded, right, from crucial meetings. That's one of the signs. These are like clear red flags that, you may be in a toxic environment. And this is not merely about job dissatisfaction. It's also about feeling unsafe or undervalued on a daily basis. And so the thing is, you have to acknowledge these signs and understand the impact that they have on your well-being. Anybody out there experience that, being undervalued, underpaid, excluded for meetings, or you show up to a meeting, it was supposed to be one thing, and you get there and the objectives are all different from what you were told, which kind of leaves you scrambling, looking like you don't really know what you're doing. That part. So yes, if you've been there, drop a yes in the comments for me. Okay. Yeah, because I've been there and it's tough. It's tough, right? And so the thing is that it can actually be challenging, right? When you're in a toxic environment, it can be absolutely challenging. It can be challenging to leave because leaving just seems like it's hard. It just seems like it's really, really hard to leave, or it can seem that, right? Leaving a toxic job can feel scary, right? There's a lot of fear. I remember when I left my first real grown-up job, which was an officer in the military. I just felt completely lost, right? I knew that the military wasn't for me. 6.5 years, I'd finished up my commitment, and actually I knew day 3 in the military wasn't for me, but I stayed 6.5 years, right? I had a scholarship, RTC scholarship, and every month on my pay stub, my LES leave and earning statement, they let me know I owed $40,000 and then $39,000 and 36. So every month I had this reminder that I felt stuck in this job. I didn't like it, but I also didn't have $40,000 to give back to Uncle Sam. And so when I went to get out, I really didn't know the first step to take. And I felt like if I chose to get out, then I should know that I was too embarrassed to ask help, right? And like it was for me, my clients also fear losing the financial stability that they worked so hard to get. It's anxiety provoking. I grew up in poverty. And so, the thought of growing up and going back to poverty was like, "Ugh, no, that I just wasn't feeling that. I lived through poverty once and I didn't want to live through poverty again. It was not enjoyable, let me just say. My parents did the best they could, but poverty just for me wasn't fun, right? And so, but staying in a toxic work environment causes you over time to lose your confidence in yourself, which then makes you doubt that there are even better opportunities that even exist, or if you really qualify for them. Some of my clients worry about what is my family going to think, or what are my friends going to think about me? And what if I get to another job and it's horrible? Or what if I leave my job and I got to start over at the bottom? And the lack of support can really start to weigh heavily on your decision to stay, which is why people actually stay in a toxic environment, right? And another reason why folks stay in a toxic environment is something called the sunken cost fallacy, right? And this is a common reason for Black women to stay in that toxic job. They feel like I've invested too much time to leave. That's again, this is a sunken cost fallacy, and it comes from project management. And this has happened to the federal government a time or two, maybe many more times than that, but I won't go down that road. But it's like, well, we've already spent this much money in the project. We can't stop and start over and do something else because we sunk so much money in this project. Staying in a job that's toxic and remaining there, it's like staying in a horrible movie that you don't like because you already paid for the ticket. If you think about it, it doesn't make sense on the surface, but it's the feelings that you get caught up in. Like, I put too much time here, and I've got 10 years here, or I've got 12 years, or I've got 5 years in. And so you don't walk away, even though this job is making you miserable, right? And so it's essential to recognize the feelings. They are valid, right? I said it in looking in, it seems like it doesn't make sense, but when you delve down into the feelings, they're valid, but not valid enough, right, to hold you back from prioritizing your mental health and your emotional health and your career, right? So you absolutely have to be intentional about creating an exit plan. So we talk about, at least when I talk about changing careers, I'm not saying quit tomorrow and hope for a job next week. No, be intentional about creating an exit plan. Careful planning is just crucial. Begin by assessing your finances. Understand what your runway is without a paycheck. Some of us got that. Some of us, I know folks that got like 6 months. I know other folks that got 12 months worth of salary and they can pay their bills and pay their mortgage. They got 12 months, 6 months, and they're good. So sometimes they can just literally walk away from a toxic job just like that and say, I'll walk away, maintain my mental health, my physical health, and I'll live from my savings until I find something else. Right? Some of us, that's just not where we are. And it's okay to be in either place. But when I do my coaching, I'm not asking folks to leave right now, but be intentional about creating that exit plan. And part of that is reflecting on what do you truly want in your next role. When I left the military, I said, come hell, high water, I'm not supervising anybody else. I don't care what. I'm not doing it. I will not do it. That was my thing. I was done. Right. And I eventually changed because I realized how toxic the environment was. I realized what a big portion my gender played in it. And I realized what a big portion the school that I went to, which was an HBCU, played in it. And I also recognized the fact that my color had something to do with it. But when I left that 6.5 years, I was done. I will never. So that was top of line for me. I will never supervise people again. I eventually changed, but that's just, I really knew what I wanted. I know what I didn't want in my next role, right? But I should have gotten a career coach because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Right. And so reflect on what you truly want in that next role and consider what your strengths are, consider what your passions are. And it's important to know what you don't want, but it's important to know what you do want too, and then figure out who you can network with to support you in your career transition. And so definitely working with a culturally sensitive career coach who understands you is actually an extremely wise investment. And remember, safeguarding your mental health during this time is paramount. That is why investing in a career coach really works. It helps you to navigate the challenges during this period. And there are challenges. Let's just be upfront about that. There are definitely challenges. Okay. So let's talk about exiting gracefully. When it is time to resign, you need to do so with grace and wisdom because it's beneficial for you. Right? Let me say that again. You need to exit with grace and wisdom because it's beneficial for you. In other words, work with the career coach who will empower you to put you as a focus. Why do you say that? I say this because I work with clients who've been afraid to leave their job 5, 10, 15 years because they worried about their fellow employees, their fellow coworkers if they left. They worried about their direct reports, and they even worry about how the organization might be hurt if they left. And so there they were feeling stuck in the job they didn't want because they worried about everybody else but themselves. So as a career coach, my only focus is being sure you are okay. That's my focus. That's what I'm here for, right? It makes a difference. I had a client that was afraid to leave because of her direct reports, and they took care of her. She took care of them. So she came to me for coaching, and finally we got to the point where she went ahead and resigned the job. She started her own business, and it's like less than a week after she resigned, both of her direct reports said, "Hey, I got a job. I'm out." So she was worried about them, and they in turn were worried about her. But because she took that step forward to say, "This job is toxic, I'm out of here," she gave them wings to fly. So sometimes you think that you're protecting your direct reports. They need to see you leave and you're going to be okay so they can take their step out and be okay as well. Right. So now let's mention this. Rebuilding confidence. I've mentioned confidence before, but it does bear repeating. Remember, toxic environments just erode your confidence over time. The longer you stay, the more it erodes your confidence, right? And so this is why I include confidence rebuilding in my coaching, because you'll need to take some time to rebuild that confidence and to learn or relearn to appreciate your own value. Because you lose your confidence, you lose your self-esteem, and you don't see value in yourself, especially if you have a toxic boss who talks down to you or tells you or is dismissive towards you, or your job is they look down on you because of your color or because of your gender. You start to lose that. So remember that you've overcome challenges before and you can do so again. All right. And so now we move into that next phase, exploring opportunities. Now, with your confidence restored, because that's what I do in my coaching, restore that confidence, it's time to explore the new opportunities. And do keep an open mind, right? And consider various paths. Networking is key. So you will want to join professional groups, attend industry meetups, and reach out to your contacts. Consistently meet with your career coach, right? And this is why, again, I have coaching programs that are 4 months long and that are 8 months long. So I can journey with my clients as they heal from a toxic work environment and as they explore these new opportunities. Every interaction is a potential doorway to a new beginning. Now, I know some of you, maybe like me, I have social anxiety. I'm an introvert. And when it comes to networking, I'm like, I want to do that. But you can do it to what fits you. You don't have to be a raving extrovert. And that's what I wasted about the first 20 years of my career trying to do, is be an extrovert when I needed to acknowledge me for who I am. I have social anxiety and I'm an introvert. I am not going to be like an extrovert in a work environment. And that's just fine, right? That is just absolutely fine. And also, it's about understanding how to now advocate for yourself, because when you've been in that toxic environment for so long, you do sometimes tend to forget how to advocate for yourself. So, that is something that I do coach on as well. So, as you interview and step into that new role, remember it's important to do that self advocacy. Navigate for what you deserve, establish those healthy boundaries, and speak up. Speak up for yourself, right? Your net worth or your worth is non-negotiable. All day, twice on Sunday, right? I got that from Miss G, Lady G, so that's not my saying, but all day and twice on Sunday, your worth is non-negotiable. So you need to assert what you need, which is essential for your success and your happiness. And also, important, when you resign, your resignation letter should be polite. Don't get vindictive. This is not the time to get vindictive. And I know you might feel like you want to, but don't, right? Be polite to the point without delving into the negativity that you experience and that you're leaving behind. As much as possible, maintain positive relationships with your colleagues as as you transition, which can be beneficial in the long run. Because, depending on whether or not you got the job, there might be some calls made. And some employees make those calls late. They call those references later. So you want to be above board and as professional as you can. Remember that it is normal to have mixed emotions during this time. Change brings about mixed emotions, and that's okay. All right. And I actually wrote a blog about how to write your letter of resignation with confidence. And I also give you free templates, 5 free templates. And I am going to put that in the comments. And I know this doesn't post everywhere, but I'll circle back when the live is over with to be sure I put that out there. I'll also link to it in the description and in the comments to my YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, right? So absolutely, let's get some help on doing that, right? You don't have to do that all on your own. I'll give you the templates, copy them, just it's already there. Okay. Now, my clients benefit from coaching on their new job because you get new job imposter syndrome. Like, do I deserve to be here? Did they make a mistake and hire me? Or nothing can be this good. I don't think I deserve this. Or, I'm not really supposed to be, I'm not ready to make this much money yet. Because when you leave a job, if you do it right, if you get a good career coach, you get a pay raise. So that kind of squashes that fear that if I leave a job, I got to start over at the bottom. Not if you do what you're supposed to and get a great career coach. You do not have to start over at the bottom. I've actually done a 180 to a whole nother career field and did not start over at the bottom. You got to have great coaching. You got to know what you're doing, right? But then when we make that kind of money and the environment is nice, we're like, imposter syndrome kicks in, like, I don't deserve this. It's because your brain is so used to that toxic environment that when it's good, you start kind of self-sabotaging and you have imposter syndrome. So my clients do benefit from that coaching, right? They also benefit from mindset coaching, recovering from burnout, stress management, and learning or relearning how to maintain work-life balance without feeling guilty. That was my thing. When I got a less stressful job, I felt guilty for downtime. I felt guilty for having time on my own to do the things I enjoy. And so that takes coaching around that, because what you will end up doing is either self-sabotaging or start cramming your calendar with tasks and responsibilities so that you don't benefit from that, from getting the new job with less stress. As one of my clients said, my husband and I now work out together during the week. She's like, and I'm no longer tethered to my job by cell phone, by that computer. Like, oh my God, what's going on? 7 days a week. She's like, I actually take vacations now and go away with my husband again. That's why you do career transitions, because, well, you all deserve that. Now, I understand that some of y'all have problems with that, but I promise you, You deserve that. You deserve to be happy, right? With a career that you absolutely love and work-life balance. You deserve that. Okay. So after you leave, it is all about healing and growth. You have to give yourself space to heal. You really do. And so this period is not just about moving past a negative job experience, but it's also about growing stronger and more resilient. Get those takeaways in this, in this toxic position. What did I learn? What can I take with me to the future? And what can I avoid in the future? Right. And so you do want to engage in activities that bring you joy and peace and allow yourself to process your emotions fully, right? When you don't, it is like someone after you go through a really bad breakup or divorce and you just immediately start dating again. You carry all your baggage with you to the new relationship. So it's important to allow yourself time to process those emotions. And if you can, take a break before starting that next job. I know sometimes due to money, some can and some can't. But again, this is why I have an 8-month coaching program. Power and Principles is called Power and Principles. Confidently command your career without compromising your values or your personal life. I'm able to, take my client through coaching to get that new job. And then I'll do the follow-on coaching or the executive coaching with them after they land the job so that I empower them to rebound after being in a toxic job culture. Right. So again, exiting a job, it's a tough, exiting a toxic job, it can be a significant step towards your well-being and career fulfillment. It does require courage. It does require excellence, if I can get that word out correctly, require resilience, courage, and self-compassion. But remember, you are not alone in this journey. Many have succeeded before you. I have many clients before you that have succeeded, and we have a community that is ready to support you. And so here's to new beginnings and endless possibilities that wait you outside of that toxic job, right? So if you are in a toxic job and you've been there for a minute trying to figure out how to get out and you want professional help with planning and leaving, I provide a 30-minute career consultation, and I will link to it in the comments, and I will drop the link here, right? And so again, I know that in some places this doesn't post, but I will circle around and get everybody that link, right? It's exclusive access to my 30-minute career solution call. And you definitely do not have to stay in a toxic job that damages your mental health, it damages your physical health, and tears down your confidence. And at the end of the day, it doesn't give you that work-life balance that we all deserve, right? So let's continue to lift each other up and support each other as we strive for healthier work lives. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thanks for everyone who watches a replay. And you guys are really wonderful about following up and catching those replays. And I appreciate that. I am over 87,000 views, and that's because of you. I cannot thank you enough for that. So if you're looking for more support and advice on career advancement and maintaining work-life balance, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We upload new content regularly, offering actionable strategies and encouragement to help you achieve your professional goals. So I was checking over there real quick again. I don't see any questions. So I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.